Today you'll hear a story about a homeless artist whose life transforms when a kind woman exchanges leftovers for his artwork, revealing his hidden talent to the world. Before this exciting story, tell US where you're listening from, and leave a like if you enjoy it. The early morning light stretched across the busy streets of Chicago, casting long shadows as people hurried to work, most avoiding eye contact with the disheveled man sitting on the sidewalk. Marcus Wilson, 42, had been homeless for 3 years now. Once a promising architectural student, his life had spiraled after a series of unfortunate events. Losing his job during the 2008 recession, a bitter divorce, and finally, the crippling medical bills from his mother's cancer treatment that drained his savings. "Spare some change," Marcus asked passersby, his voice hoarse from the cold autumn air. Most people walked past without acknowledging him. He was used to it by now, the invisibility that came with homelessness. The cardboard sign beside him read, "Hungry. Anything helps. God bless." What most people didn't notice was the small sketchbook tucked inside Marcus's warm backpack. Drawing had always been his escape, even during the darkest times. He had studied architecture before life got in the way, and his hands still remembered the precision and care of creating something beautiful from nothing. A few blocks away, Emma Chun, 34, was leaving her apartment for work. She was running late for her shift at the local coffee shop, Brewed Awakening, but decided to grab breakfast from her favorite deli. As she hurried down the street with her paper bag containing a breakfast sandwich and coffee, she almost walked past Marcus without noticing him, just like everyone else did. But something made her stop. Perhaps it was the way he sat with dignity despite his circumstances, or maybe it was simply that she recognized him from her daily commute. Whatever the reason, she paused. "Good morning," she said, her voice soft but clear. Surprised by the greeting, Marcus looked up. "Morning, ma'am," he replied, his eyes showing a flicker of surprise at being addressed directly. Emma hesitated, then reached into her paper bag. "I bought an extra sandwich by mistake. Would you like it?" It was a small lie. There was no extra sandwich, but it preserved his dignity. Marcus nodded gratefully. "Thank you. That's very kind." As Emma handed him the wrapped sandwich, she noticed the corner of a sketchbook peeking out from his backpack. "Are you an artist?" she asked. Marcus laughed, a sound that seemed rusty from disuse. "Used to be. Just doodles now." "May I see?" Emma asked, genuinely curious. Hesitating for a moment, Marcus pulled out the tattered sketchbook and flipped it open. Emma's eyes widened as she looked at the detailed urban landscapes and architectural drawings that filled the pages. They weren't just doodles. They were masterful works showing Chicago's skyline from angles she'd never considered, capturing the soul of the city in pencil and charcoal. "These are incredible," she said, flipping through the pages carefully. "You have a real gift." Marcus shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. "Just something to pass the time." Emma checked her watch and realized she was now very late for work. "I have to go, but—" She paused, an idea forming. "Would you mind if I took one of these? I'd pay you for it." "Pay me?" Marcus laughed again. "Lady, you already gave me breakfast. Just take one if you want it." "No," Emma insisted. "Art has value. Your art has value." She pulled out a $20 bill, more than she should spare from her tight budget, and held it out. Marcus stared at the money, then at Emma, confusion evident in his weathered face. "That's too much for a sketch." "It's not enough," Emma replied firmly. "But it's what I can afford today." After a moment's hesitation, Marcus carefully tore out a page, a detailed sketch of the Chicago River at dawn, with the city awakening around it. He handed it to Emma, who gently placed it in her bag and gave him the $20. "I'm Emma, by the way," she said, extending her hand. "Marcus," he replied, taking her hand briefly. "Thank you, Emma." "See you tomorrow." "Marcus," she said with a smile before hurrying off to work, already planning to frame the beautiful drawing. This brief encounter was the beginning of a routine. Each morning, Emma would stop by with coffee and breakfast, and each day, she would purchase another drawing from Marcus's ever-growing collection. Sometimes they would chat for a few minutes about the weather, about the city, about art. Other times, when Emma was running late, they would simply exchange smiles, food, and artwork with few words. After 2 weeks of this ritual, Emma arrived at Marcus's usual spot one rainy morning to find him huddled under a store awning, trying to keep his few possessions dry. "I brought you something," she said, handing him not only breakfast but a plastic portfolio case. "To keep your drawings dry." Marcus took the case, visibly moved by the thoughtful gift. "Why are you doing all this?" he asked suddenly, his voice barely audible above the rain. "I'm just a beggar. There are plenty of us on these streets." Emma shook her head firmly. "No, you're an artist who happens to be homeless right now. There's a difference." That day, instead of taking just one drawing, Emma asked, "Would you mind if I took a few extras? My boss at the coffee shop has a wall for local artists, and I thought maybe—" Marcus looked uncertain. "People won't want to see my stuff, Emma." "Yes, they will," she insisted. "Just trust me on this." The next day, 5 of Marcus's drawings were displayed on the local artist's wall at Brood Awakening. Emma had carefully framed them using inexpensive frames from a dollar store, but the quality of the artwork spoke for itself. She had added a small card, "Chicago Perspectives by Marcus Wilson. Inquire about purchases." She hadn't really expected anyone to notice or care. But to her surprise, by the end of her shift, 2 customers had asked about buying the drawings. "Are you enjoying our story? Tell us where you're watching our videos from. Leave your city in the comments, and let us know what else you enjoy listening to. Suggest a story for us to tell next." When Emma told Marcus about the interest in his work the next morning, he looked at her with disbelief. "You're making that up to make me feel better." "I'm not," she insisted. "Here." She handed him $60. "Someone paid $30 for each of these 2 drawings. I told them the price. I hope that's okay." Marcus stared at the money in his palm, then closed his fingers around it tightly. For the first time since Emma had met him, she saw tears in his eyes. He quickly wiped them away with his sleeve. "This can't be real," he whispered. "It is real," Emma said gently. "Your talent is real, Marcus." People recognized that. Over the next month, more of Marcus's drawings sold at the coffee shop. Emma helped him open a basic bank account where he could save the money. It wasn't enough to dramatically change his situation, but it gave him something he hadn't had in years: hope. As winter approached, Emma worried about Marcus sleeping on the streets in the brutal Chicago cold. One evening after her shift, she approached him with a proposition. "My apartment building has a small maintenance room in the basement," she explained. "The superintendent is a friend of mine. He says you can stay there for the winter if you help with some basic building maintenance." Marcus's pride made him hesitate. "I don't need charity, Emma." "It's not charity," she insisted. "It's a job, with room included. You have skills, Marcus. You studied architecture, right? The building needs someone who understands structures." After much persuasion, Marcus agreed to meet with the superintendent, Mr. Rossi, a kind-hearted Italian immigrant who had been managing the building for 30 years. Mr. Rossi took an immediate liking to Marcus and agreed to the arrangement. The maintenance room was small but clean, with a cot, a space heater, and a small desk where Marcus could draw. For the first time in years, he had a safe place to sleep, a place to store his few belongings, and most importantly, a place to create his art without worrying about the weather or theft. As winter settled over Chicago, Marcus worked diligently on the building's maintenance issues during the day and drew at night. His portfolio grew, and so did his confidence. Emma continued to display and sell his work at the coffee shop, and word began to spread about the talented homeless artist whose cityscapes captured Chicago with stunning authenticity. One snowy December evening, a well-dressed woman came into the coffee shop just before closing time. Emma was wiping down tables when the woman approached her. "Are you the one selling these drawings?" the woman asked, gesturing to Marcus's work on the wall. "I'm helping the artist sell them," Emma explained. The woman introduced herself as Gabriela Martinez, the owner of a small but respected gallery in the Arts District. "These drawings have something special," she said. "Raw talent, unique perspective. I'd like to meet the artist." Emma's heart raced with excitement. "His name is Marcus Wilson. He's currently between permanent addresses." She explained Marcus's situation as delicately as possible. Gabriella nodded, understanding immediately. Art comes from all walks of life. Some of the greatest artists throughout history struggle with poverty. Would he be willing to meet with me? I might be interested in featuring his work in my spring showcase. Emma could hardly contain her excitement as she rushed back to the apartment building after her shift. She found Marcus in the basement, fixing a leaky pipe. "Marcus," she called out. Something amazing happened. When she told him about Gabriela Martinez and the gallery, Marcus froze, wrench in hand. "This isn't funny, Emma." "I'm not joking," she insisted. "She wants to meet you tomorrow. This is your chance, Marcus." A real gallery. Marcus set down his tools, his hands shaking slightly. "What'd I even wear? I can't meet a gallery owner looking like this." He gestured to his worn clothes. "We'll figure it out," Emma promised. "Mr. Rossi is about your size. I'm sure he has something you could borrow." The next day, Marcus met with Gabriela Martinez at the coffee shop, wearing Mr. Rossi's best sweater and a pair of clean jeans Emma had helped him purchase. He brought his portfolio, hands trembling as he showed his work to the gallery owner. Gabriela examined each drawing carefully, occasionally asking questions about his technique or inspiration. After nearly an hour, she looked up at Marcus with a serious expression. "These are exceptional, Mr. Wilson. You have a unique way of seeing the city, both its grandeur and its grit. I'd like to feature your work in my spring showcase. It's a group exhibition featuring urban artists, and your perspective would be valuable." Marcus could hardly believe what he was hearing. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious," Gabriella confirmed. "We would need at least 15 pieces from you by March. We handle the framing, marketing, and sales. Standard commission is 60/40ths. You get 60% of sales." Emma, who had been listening from nearby while pretending to clean tables, could no longer contain herself. "That's amazing," she exclaimed. Marcus looked stunned, unable to find words. Finally, he managed to ask, "Why would you take a chance on someone like me?" Gabriella's expression softened. "Art isn't about where you live or what clothes you wear, Mr. Wilson. It's about vision and truth. Your work has both in abundance." She handed him her business card. "Come by the gallery next week, and we'll formalize arrangements." After Gabriella left, Marcus sat in silence, staring at her business card. "I don't know what to say," he finally murmured. "You don't have to say anything," Emma replied, sitting across from him. "Just keep drawing." As winter deepened, Marcus threw himself into his work with renewed purpose. The maintenance room became a makeshift studio with drawings pinned to every available surface. Mr. Rossi, seeing Marcus's dedication, brought him a proper drawing table that had been left behind by a former tenant. The relationship between Emma and Marcus evolved as well. What had begun as simple kindness had grown into friendship, and perhaps something more. They often spent evenings together in the building's common room, Emma reading while Marcus sketched, comfortable in each other's silence. By February, Marcus had completed 20 drawings for the gallery's show. Cityscapes, yes, but also more intimate scenes. A homeless man sharing food with his dog, commuters huddled together at an L station during a snowstorm, a street musician playing saxophone under a bridge. Through his art, Marcus told the story of the city he knew intimately from both sides of fortune. The opening night of the gallery show arrived on a crisp March evening. Emma had helped Marcus select an affordable but dignified outfit for the occasion. Standing before the mirror in his small room, he hardly recognized himself, clean-shaven, hair neatly trimmed, wearing a simple navy blazer over a white shirt. "Ready?" Emma asked, appearing in the doorway. She looked beautiful in a simple green dress, her usual coffee shop apron nowhere in sight. "Not really," Marcus admitted. "What if no one likes them?" Emma took his hand. "They will. But even if they don't, I do. And more importantly, you created them. That's what matters." The gallery was crowded when they arrived. Marcus's drawings, now professionally framed, occupied an entire wall under the title Unseen Chicago, Perspectives by Marcus Wilson. People clustered around them, glasses of wine in hand, discussing the artwork with animation. Gabriela Martinez spotted them and hurried over. "Marcus, there you are. People are loving your work. 3 pieces have already sold, and we've only been open an hour." Marcus could hardly process her words. 3 sold already? People actually wanted to own his drawings? It seemed impossible. Throughout the evening, Marcus was introduced to art collectors, critics, and other artists. He spoke about his work with growing confidence, encouraged by Emma's supportive presence nearby. By the end of the night, 8 of his 15 pieces had sold, bringing him more money than he had seen in years. As they walked back to the apartment building that night, Emma noticed Marcus was unusually quiet. "Everything okay?" she asked. "You should be celebrating. Tonight was a huge success." Marcus stopped walking and turned to her. "3 years ago, I was sleeping under a bridge, convinced my life was over. Then you stopped and saw me, really saw me when no one else did." His voice broke slightly. "You didn't just give me food or money. You gave me back my dignity, my purpose." Emma felt tears welling in her eyes. "You always had those things, Marcus. I just reminded you." He shook his head. "It was more than that. You traded leftovers for a drawing when we both knew it wasn't an even exchange. You valued my work when I had stopped valuing it myself." As spring bloomed across Chicago, Marcus's life continued to transform. With the money from the gallery sales, he was able to rent a small studio apartment. Nothing fancy, but his own space with good light for drawing. He continued to help Mr. Rossi with maintenance in exchange for reduced rent, finding he enjoyed the hands-on work. Gabriela Martinez became his representative, placing his work in other galleries and connecting him with potential clients. His reputation grew, particularly for his honest, unsentimental depictions of urban life and architecture. A local architecture firm even commissioned a series of drawings for their office lobby, appreciating his unique structural perspective. Emma remained a constant in his life, their relationship deepening beyond friendship into love, tentative at first, then blooming with certainty. They moved slowly, both aware of the journey Marcus was on, rebuilding his life piece by piece. 1 year after their first meeting, Marcus held his first solo exhibition. The centerpiece was a large drawing titled Morning Exchange, a detailed rendering of a woman offering a sandwich to a homeless man on a Chicago street corner, the first light of dawn illuminating them both while the city slept around them. At the exhibition, Marcus gave a short speech, something he never would have imagined himself capable of a year earlier. "Art saved my life," he told the gathered crowd. "Not just because it gave me income or purpose, though it did both. Art saved me because it reminded me that I still had something to offer the world, even when I had nothing else." He paused, finding Emma's eyes in the crowd. And sometimes, all it takes is one person to remind you of that truth when you've forgotten it yourself. The exhibition was a resounding success, with nearly every piece selling. Critics praised Marcus's authentic voice and unflinching yet compassionate eye. A prominent Chicago magazine ran a feature story on him, detailing his journey from homelessness to recognized artist. With his new financial stability, Marcus established a small foundation to provide art supplies and mentorship to homeless individuals with creative talents. He partnered with several shelters across the city, remembering how much a simple sketchbook had meant to him during his darkest days. Emma eventually left her job at the coffee shop to manage the foundation, putting her organizational skills to work for a cause they both believed in. Together, they created opportunities for other struggling artists to find their voices and rebuild their lives through creativity. On cold mornings, Marcus would still sometimes walk to the spot where he had once sat with his cardboard sign, remembering the desperation and loneliness he had felt. But those memories no longer had power over him. Instead, they fueled his determination to create art that spoke truth about human experience, both the suffering and the redemption. The drawing that Emma had first purchased, the Chicago River at Dawn, hung framed in their shared apartment, a constant reminder of how a small act of kindness and recognition had changed everything. Beside it hung a newer piece, a detailed portrait of Emma as she had looked that first morning, illuminated by early sunlight, kindness in her eyes as she extended a paper bag toward the viewer. With a heart overflowing with gratitude and a purpose that stretched far beyond himself, Marcus Wilson delved even deeper into his work. His art, which was once a solitary refuge, became a bridge to the world, a voice for the invisible. The exhibition in London was a milestone, not only for the acclaim of European critics, who praised his raw and honest perspective on urban life, but also for the opportunity to connect with artists and social activists from different cultures. He participated in discussion panels, where his story resonated deeply, inspiring many to reconsider how society viewed the homeless population. The London Gallery, impressed by the public's response, proposed a series of workshops and lectures for Marcus, which he enthusiastically accepted, seeing them as a natural extension of his mission. Meanwhile, the Marcus Wilson Art and Hope Foundation, under Emma's tireless leadership, flourished. The small space in the community center was no longer enough. With increased donations and national recognition, they managed to acquire a larger building, an old revitalized warehouse on the west side of Chicago. The new space featured multiple art studios, a gallery for exhibitions of the foundation's participants' work, and even a small cafe where visitors could enjoy coffee and pastries while admiring the art. Emma, with her characteristic blend of warmth and efficiency, built a dedicated team of staff and volunteers. They expanded their outreach programs, partnering with more shelters, food banks, and community organizations to identify individuals with artistic inclinations who could benefit from their programs. The foundation's curriculum diversified, offering not just drawing and painting, but also creative writing, music, and even digital art classes, recognizing the diverse talents within the homeless community. Marcus often taught advanced drawing workshops, sharing his techniques and insights with aspiring artists. He emphasized the importance of observation, of seeing the beauty and truth in everyday life, just as he had learned to do during his darkest days. His presence was a powerful motivator. Participants saw in him not just a successful artist, but a living testament to the possibility of change. Many of them, inspired by his journey, began to find their own voices, their own stories through their art. The foundation became a vibrant hub of creativity and hope, a place where individuals could rebuild their confidence, develop marketable skills, and reconnect with a sense of purpose. One particularly poignant project was the City of Stories mural. Marcus, along with several foundation artists, collaborated on a massive mural spanning an entire wall of the new building. It depicted scenes of Chicago life from various perspectives: the bustling Loop, quiet neighborhood streets, and, significantly, the often overlooked corners where the homeless found solace or struggle. Each section was painted by a different artist, reflecting their unique style and experience, but seamlessly woven together by Marcus's guiding vision. The mural became a powerful symbol of unity and resilience, attracting media attention and drawing visitors from across the city. It served as a constant reminder of the diverse narratives that made up Chicago and the importance of seeing every individual story. As Marcus's fame grew, so did the opportunities for his personal art. His solo exhibition in Paris was met with even greater critical acclaim than London. French art critics lauded his American realism with a soul, comparing his ability to capture the essence of a city to masters of urban landscape painting. He was commissioned to create pieces for prestigious institutions, including a series of large-scale charcoal drawings for the lobby of a newly built cultural center in downtown Chicago. Despite his success, Marcus remained grounded. He continued his daily drawing practice, often returning to the familiar streets of Chicago, finding new angles, new light, new stories in the city he knew so intimately. He never forgot the cold autumn air, the feeling of invisibility, or the kindness of a stranger that had changed everything. His relationship with Emma continued to be the anchor of his life. Their marriage was built on mutual respect, shared purpose, and a deep, abiding love. They found joy in the small moments: quiet mornings with coffee, evening walks, and the shared satisfaction of seeing the foundation's participants thrive. Emma, now a recognized leader in the nonprofit world, was often invited to speak at national conferences on homelessness and art therapy. She used these platforms to advocate for systemic change, emphasizing that while individual acts of kindness were crucial, broader societal solutions were also necessary to address the root causes of homelessness. She was a fierce advocate for affordable housing, mental health services, and job training programs, always linking these issues back to the human dignity that art helped restore. One day, While reviewing old files at the foundation, Emma stumbled upon a box of Marcus's earliest drawings, including the very first sketch she had purchased, the Chicago River at dawn. It was slightly creased, a testament to its journey, but the lines were still sharp, the emotion palpable. She brought it to Marcus, who was sketching at his drawing table in their apartment, now a bright, spacious studio filled with light. "Look what I found," she said, holding up the drawing. Marcus took it, his eyes softening as he traced the familiar lines. "The beginning," he murmured. "It feels like a lifetime ago, and just yesterday." "It was," Emma agreed, sitting beside him. "And look at everything that's happened since." He looked at her, his gaze full of tenderness. "Because you saw me, Emma. You truly saw me." Their life together was a testament to the ripple effect of compassion. They continued to work tirelessly for the foundation, expanding its reach, developing new programs, and touching countless lives. Marcus's art became increasingly sought after, but he always made time for the foundation, for the workshops, for the individual stories of those seeking a second chance. He even started a mentorship program where established artists, inspired by his story, volunteered their time to guide emerging talents from the foundation. One winter morning, years after their first meeting, Marcus found himself walking near the spot where he used to sit with his cardboard sign. The city was bustling, just as it had been then, but his perspective had shifted entirely. He saw the hurried commuters, the indifferent glances, but he also saw the potential for connection, the hidden stories, the art waiting to be discovered. He noticed a young woman sketching intently in a small notebook on a park bench, her face etched with a familiar weariness. He paused, a gentle smile on his face, remembering a time when he was that person. He didn't approach her, knowing that sometimes the most profound acts of kindness are simply to see, to acknowledge, and to allow space for a journey to unfold. He knew that the seeds of hope, once planted, could grow into something extraordinary, just as they had for him. He continued his walk, the crisp Chicago air invigorating him. His phone buzzed, a text from Emma, reminding him of a meeting at the foundation. He smiled. His life was full, rich with purpose, art, and love. The beggar he once was had indeed transformed, not just into a celebrated artist, but into a beacon of hope, a living testament to the truth that every life has value, every story deserves to be seen, and sometimes all it takes is one person to remind you of that truth when you've forgotten it yourself. The meeting at the Marcus Wilson Art and Hope Foundation was already in full swing when Marcus arrived, a slight flush on his cheeks from the brisk walk. Emma, seated at the head of the long conference table, looked up and offered him a warm, knowing smile. Her presence, as always, was a grounding force. Today's agenda was packed, reviewing applications for the next cohort of artists, discussing funding for a new outreach program targeting youth experiencing homelessness, and planning the annual fundraising gala. Marcus took his usual seat, a sense of profound gratitude washing over him as he surveyed the room. Around the table sat a diverse group of individuals, former foundation participants who were now mentors, dedicated social workers, and passionate art educators. This was the tangible manifestation of the ripple effect of compassion he and Emma often spoke of. The old revitalized warehouse hummed with activity, a stark contrast to the desolate streets he once knew. Downstairs, he could hear the faint sounds of a pottery class in session, the rhythmic thud of clay being worked, a testament to the diverse creative outlets the foundation now offered. Emma, with her innate ability to blend empathy with sharp organizational skills, led the discussion with precision. She spoke passionately about the need for more affordable housing initiatives, drawing direct connections between stable living conditions and the ability for individuals to pursue creative and personal growth. Art can open doors, she emphasized, but a roof over one's head provides the stability to walk through them. Her advocacy had grown beyond the foundation's walls, making her a respected voice in citywide discussions on homelessness and social welfare. She was often invited to speak at conferences, sharing Marcus's story and the foundation's successes as powerful examples of what was possible when dignity and opportunity were restored. Marcus, meanwhile, continued to evolve as an artist. His Unseen Chicago series had gained international recognition, leading to successful exhibitions in London and Paris. Critics lauded his ability to capture the raw, authentic soul of urban life, often noting the profound empathy embedded in his charcoal and pencil strokes. He had recently embarked on a new project, a series of large-scale oil paintings that explored the interplay of light and shadow in forgotten corners of the city. Underpasses, abandoned lots, and the quiet spaces where life persisted despite hardship. These new works, while still rooted in realism, carried a deeper emotional resonance, a reflection of his own journey and the countless stories he had encountered through the foundation. He found immense satisfaction in teaching advanced workshops at the foundation, guiding aspiring artists not just in technique, but in finding their unique voice and perspective. He often told them, the most powerful art comes from seeing the world not just as it is, but as it feels. Their life together, away from the bustling foundation and the art world, was a sanctuary of quiet moments. Their apartment, once Marcus's small studio, was now a shared space filled with art, books, and the comfortable clutter of a life built together. Emma would often find him sketching late into the night, the soft glow of his desk lamp illuminating his focused expression. She'd bring him tea or simply sit beside him, reading, their shared silence a testament to their deep connection. They cherished their morning walks, often retracing parts of Marcus's old routes, observing the city with new eyes, always finding beauty in the mundane. These walks were a quiet ritual, a way to stay connected to the roots of their story, and a reminder of how far they had come. The Foundation's City of Stories mural, which spanned an entire wall of their new building, had become a landmark. It was a living testament to the diverse narratives within Chicago, a collaborative masterpiece that drew visitors from all walks of life. Each brushstroke, each color, told a piece of a larger, interconnected story of resilience and hope. Marcus often saw people pausing before it, their expressions shifting from curiosity to contemplation, and sometimes to recognition. He knew that for every person who saw the mural, or bought a piece of art, or simply heard their story, another seed of hope was planted. One crisp autumn evening, as they prepared for the Foundation's annual gala, Emma found Marcus looking at the framed Morning Exchange drawing in their apartment. It was the centerpiece of his first solo exhibition, depicting her offering him the sandwich. Beside it hung the portrait of Emma he had drawn, illuminated by early sunlight. Thinking about that day, Emma asked softly, coming to stand beside him. Marcus nodded, a gentle smile playing on his lips. Every day. It's funny, isn't it? How one small act can set off a chain reaction that changes everything. He turned to her, his eyes full of tenderness. You didn't just give me a sandwich, Emma. You gave me back my world. Emma leaned her head on his shoulder. And you, Marcus, showed the world that every life has a masterpiece waiting to be discovered. Their journey was far from over. There were more lives to touch, more stories to tell, and more art to create. But as they stood there, bathed in the soft glow of their shared life, they knew that the most profound art they had created together was the tapestry of hope they continued to weave. One act of kindness, one brushstroke, one transformed life at a time. The beggar was long gone, replaced by an artist, a philanthropist, and a man whose life was a vibrant canvas of purpose and love.